to Chapter 95 of the DC Alliance podcast. With me, as always, is Clay. Clay, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Just spent way too long building something, but we'll get to more of that later. Kind of got me a little flustered and whatnot, but I was like, you know what? I'm about to jump on to DC Alliance. I'm all good. So yeah, had a pretty good day. Easy work day, and yeah, excited to be here.
That's pretty good, man. That's fun to hear. We got a lot of fun DC stuff to talk about. Well, not a lot. We have a awesome season finale for the Peacemaker, and we have a little bit of Batman stuff. That's what will lead off the show, of course, because we'll leave Peacemaker for the meat and potatoes, meat and bones of the episode. But before we do all that, Clay, obviously we have to get the network plugs out of the way. We are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 podcasts in totals. On Mondays is Ranger Alliance. That's with Clay and rotating guest host of Jake, Tony, and Joe. That's where they take a look at anything and everything Power Rangers. And that rotates bi-weekly with World's Finest True Believers. That's where Chris and a guest take a look at a comic of the guest's choice. And sometimes they do creator spotlights. And today was one of those sometimes, Clay. So tell the listeners about the creator spotlight because I just finished it a couple hours ago while I was doing the dishes. It was fantastic. Listeners, I implore you to listen to it on the audio podcast feed, but also go on the Geekverse YouTube feed to watch the video. Kyle asks Clay a question, and there's a moment in time where you can hear Clay just the gears going of all his internal fandom, and he throws out an answer to a question, and it's awesome. The whole interview was awesome. You and Chris did fantastic job, but tell the listeners a little bit more about it than me just gushing.
Thanks. This creator spotlight is over the one shot, which will be releasing this week. So by the time that you are listening to this, you can technically still pre-order that book, whether it be digitally, go to your local comic book shop because I'm sure they have extras on hand. But it's super massive from Image Comics. It is spinning out of the universe that Kyle Higgins has created called Radiant Black. That is 12 issues in. From that last issue goes into this crossover event with the writers Ryan Parrott, who is currently on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers or Mighty Morphin and Power Rangers, the two comics, and then Matthew Groom, who is writing Ultraman over at Marvel, and was just announced for Power Rangers, the title, or Mighty Morphin. Sorry, he's going to be the Mighty Morphin writer in March, starting then. Matthew Groom has created a character called Inferno Girl Red, and Ryan Parrott has created a character called Rogue Sun. Now, all three of these characters, Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, and Inferno Girl Red, all meet for the very first time in this one shot of Supermassive. And just like the title says, this is a supermassive event because it is the very start of a brand new universe. 30 years ago, when Image was created, Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, the person that I'm blocked by, oh my gosh, what's his name?
Eric.
No, no,
Eric.
no, no. The dude who co-created, freaking
Rob Liefeld?
Deadpool. Yeah, Rob
Yeah.
Liefeld, all of them. They created Robert Kirkman. They all created Image Comics, and what people don't realize is that technically Savage Dragon, Spawn, Youngblood, they were all in the same universe and they crossed over very, very limitedly, but they still referenced each other and everything else. Well, Kyle Higgins, Ryan Parrott, and Matthew Groom are starting to do that exact same thing 30 years in the future, right now. So it's really, really cool to be, seeing this happen as it goes. I've always said if you're a big fan of Power Rangers, if you're a big fan of Invincible, the comic book and the TV show, you should be reading Radiant Black. It is very much in the same light of all that, and it's really, really fun. So, Chris and myself interviewed all three of them, including Michael Busudel, who is the editor of the comic.
Hilarious, by the way.
He's great. Him and Matthew Groom actually have a podcast called Ranger Danger, who heavily influenced Ranger Alliance. So it was really great to have them on. I loved every single one of their answers to our questions, and like Travis said, there was a moment where, I just simply said, "I'm really excited for this crossover," and Kyle took that opportunity to be on the other end of interviews and was like, so why? Why are you super excited about this? And so I told him the truth, and just like we said before recording, I've been following Kyle for quite some time in his writing career. Ever since New 52 Nightwing was when I first got introduced to him. I went back to then read Gates of Gotham and stuff like that. Followed him into Power Rangers, his runs in Marvel for, Winter Soldier. Now he is co-writer for Ultraman and, now doing Radiant Black. I love everything that he does. So having to be able to gush all of that out in a professional manner, I was trying to be as professional as possible, like always with these creator spotlights. I just simply told him, like, it is great that as somebody who is creating their own thing gets to do that with no holds bar, basically. So I implore everybody to go listen to that, go watch it on YouTube, share it with your friends, your family, anybody who might be interested in learning a little bit more about this brand new universe that is coming into Image Comics.
And I'm checking out Radiant Black just because of that. So that full interview put me on. I told Chris I was going to tell him to tell you got on the show, but it was a fantastic interview, Clay. Bob Day says, hello, Bob. I should get the rest of the network plugs out of the way, listeners. Also, on Tuesdays is DC Alliance with myself and Clay, this show. On Wednesdays is Superhero Discussions. On Thursdays is Star Wars Alliance with Katie and Clay. That's where you look at anything and everything Star Wars. On Fridays is Marvel Alliance with Chris and Brent. That's where you look at anything and everything Marvel. And on Saturdays is a walk through the multiverse with Joe. That's bi-weekly. He got you covered on everything that isn't Star Wars, DC, or Marvel. And currently on hiatus is Slice of Film. So that'll be back at some point. That's where Katie and a guest take a look at either a film of the guest choice or a film that's out currently. We also have 3 shows that go live on the Geekverse YouTube channel. DC Alliance goes live Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Star Wars Alliance goes live at Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And Marvel Alliance goes live on Thursdays at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We also have those three shows have their own feeds. Just search Marvel Alliance, DC Alliance, or Star Wars Alliance on your podcast app of choice to get just Marvel, DC, or Star Wars. But if you want everything and anything, stay subscribed to the Geek Ultimate Alliance on your podcast app of choice. We also have a Patreon, 2 tiers, a $1 tier and a $5 tier. The $1 tier is basically a tip jar. You like what we're doing, you want to help us out. And the $5 tier is where you get your extras, you get your ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon exclusive episodes. There's a lot that's been going up on Patreon lately. There was another episode of Marvel Alliance's chronological watch through of the MCU. So that's pretty cool and interesting. I can't wait to check that out. Also, there is Clay and Snell reviewing Batman 89 comic issues. It's 3 and 4 up there right now. I'm doing top 5s. I have NES and SNES top 5s up right now. Joe from a Walk Through the Multiverse is going to join me on Friday to talk about top 5 in 64 games.
I was listening, I think it was Marvel Alliance, and Brent was like, "You're going to run out of top 5s." So what is your plan?
Never. I just don't have to do. No, I will keep doing top 5s till the end. There's so many things you can do top 5s out of. So many. There'll be other content, but the top 5s will be a thing that always happens.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. It doesn't have to stick to. It can be anything, right, Clay? It's patrons, so it doesn't even have to be PG. The things that piss me off could be a top 5. Yeah, that's right. I tell you, it's forever content, Clay. Forever content. that concept. But yeah, we have a lot of content going up on Patreon. Like I said, Joe's going to join me. We're going to dish out our top 5 in 64 games. That's the console Joe picks. So I'm really interested to see what kind of choices he has. He also has, he's going through The Boys on Patreon. There you go, S-Bubs got my back. Top five games on each console. Thank you. I'll just do top fives of my top fives. It's a vicious cycle, Clay, that'll never end. But yeah, we're putting a lot more on Patreon, so just come if you can. That's greatly appreciated. But if you can't do that, just take 30 to 60 seconds to rate the show on your Apple Podcast or your podcast app of choice. And if you're in the show live, if you're sharing the links, if you're liking them, if you're in the chat, all that's greatly appreciated. We can't do this without you. Clay, let's get into it.
Well, before we do,
Yes.
I have a little bit of an announcement. Got the okay from the missus. We found this out a couple days ago. Told everybody of importance. Not saying that you guys aren't important. I already told my GUA family, so they are important. But just wanted to let the listeners know. I'm gonna be a dad, and that's fucking terrifying. But yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing. So as of right now, nothing is going to be changing. Due date is possibly sometime October, November. So possibly around the Flash or Batgirl. Just means that Abby's just gonna have to hold it, and we'll get there when we get there. After the Flash.
That's a better joke than she'll have to wait in the hospital while I go and watch the movie.
Oh no, I'm gonna go watch the movie.
Well, I'm just saying you're testing out that joke in GUA chat first.
Oh no, I said that specifically because I know that it like irks Katie because she's the one that posted that story about that guy that
With the Batman.
was already buying pre tickets for the Batman, and his wife is due around that same time. So
Yeah. Dangerous, bold move.
hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but congrats, my friend. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm really glad that you announced it because I was really scared that I might accidentally slip up.
Well,
And
that was one of the things that we wanted to avoid, especially in our family. So we kind of divided and conquered when telling friends and family, so that way that wouldn't happen. So now that everybody knows, I went ahead and decided to say something here. SPUB says, I was thinking about the Batman post. Yeah. That's the one that Katie got like super like, that's so wrong. I can't believe. And so as soon as I announced that, I was going to be a father,
the second message.
and I immediately said, oh man, Abby's just going to have to, be all by herself at the hospital for when I watch The Flash. And she was like, Clayton, that's so wrong.
And I suppose we were all thinking that it was about that Batman post. Well, now that we got that, you have a future Bruce Wayne, Mr. Thomas, there.
Well, I don't want him to be a Bruce Wayne because that means I'm not there to the end of the story.
But he'll have stories written about him forever, 500 stories, when only one written about other things. You know how much you love that.
Too many Batman books, guys. Too many Batman books.
That unfortunately, that's not what we're here to discuss today. Again, congratulations, Clay. That's awesome news, and I look forward to seeing how much things get crazy for you, and how easily you handle it. I'm pretty confident you will.
Let's see what happens in 9 months.
There you go. But we have some cool stuff to talk about DC wise. And before we get into, obviously, the Peacemaker finale, we have some Batman tidbits that have come out. First and foremost, there was a little 50-second clip shared on Jimmy Kimmel when Pattinson was on there. We'll talk about that. Do you think we can watch that? That was shared by Jimmy Kimmel, so on the show. I don't think there's a problem with that.
Just need to make sure that the volume is down so that way, in case we don't get, anything taken down.
And this is just a little play on what was already shared in a trailer where Batman and Gordon are talking.
Yeah, and here, like, Gordon and Batman are talking. They're talking very low. This is, of course, getting into the idea that that Gordon and Batman suspect a lot of the GCPD to be dirty. So Batman notices that one of these cops looks familiar. He's like, "Hey, there's a black eye right there. Oh, wait, I gave him that black eye.
Yeah.
That dude is from the Iceberg Lounge." And so we do get that name drop there. And Gordon's like, "Oh, do you suspect something?" He's like, "Yeah, there's only one way to find out." And as soon as he says that, he looks at Gordon with a long pause and then whacks him right in the
Suckers him right
freaking
there.
sucker punch right to the face. And this then goes to the clip that we have seen all over the place, starting with the very first trailer. The hallway running scene, that's new, but when he actually grabs the
We
grappling
see
hook,
this.
yeah, and then going up the stairwell, that we saw in the very first trailer. So nothing outside of just that, first 25 seconds is new. So, I mean, I was okay to as soon as it came out. Travis, can we talk about it? Can we talk about it?
No,
Like, are you sure?
come
Are you
on.
are you sure? Are you sure you're okay with talking about this? Because I know that you don't want to talk about these things because you don't want to look into like too much of the Batman. I knew Hines was just like oozing to talk about this. So I was like, okay, let's go ahead and talk
I
about it.
told
It's
you
only
that
50 seconds.
Well, my description of it was pretty much laid out from the trailers was not wrong, was it? Because that's what I told you before. Like
It, not really, because like I
beats.
said, the first 25 seconds is all new footage.
Yes, you're
So
right, but it's still we had a shot of that for a second in the trailer of them first talking. We had that shot of them in that area, but it was like cut over something else entirely in
you
the first
can't
trailer.
say that that's been in a trailer when there's 25 seconds of dialogue. No.
I'm just saying we saw where they were too, and all the cops were around because in that same thing, they're pushing back and forth against the cops in one of the trailers. It's all in
But
that
see,
same room and area.
it's in the same room, but that room has got to be multiple scenes. It's not just one whole scene. It's not just like one whole part inside of GCPD.
Well,
No
I don't know
way.
if he's coming back to that same area twice, so maybe he is. But the thing that I got from this mainly, Clay, is that the cops look in and see Gordon and Batman talking, and see Gordon like close to Batman. Those cops, dirty cops, are not going to tell Gordon anything about their like who they're working with or anything like that if they think Gordon and Batman are chummy. So I think that's the 100% reason why Batman like just right hooks them to make all the other cops think that Batman hates Gordon and they're not on good terms, so that maybe he can get in with one of these dirty cops and find out what's going on.
True. Yeah. I mean, I think that what that essentially will do, needed to cause a distraction for sure. But I think if you look back on it, on the video, I am pretty sure as those officers run towards Batman, that one individual actually runs backwards. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he runs away. Is
Okay.
is so and I'll have to watch it again, but I'm pretty sure the guy that they're accusing works for Penguin is actually
away.
runs away. Not
Okay.
necessarily thinking that Batman is going to go after him, but like, oh, the Batman is no longer quote unquote in GCPD custody, and so he'll probably go snitch to Penguin, is what I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
That's like being an informant kind of deal for Penguin. Like let him know what just happened. Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but that 100% could be right because they did say here that he was it. Isbub's selling me down the river here, saying from him grappling up, I couldn't have predicted that he had just punched Gordon. Okay, yeah, I was wrong, Isbubs. I was wrong. You couldn't call it at all. So there was 25 seconds of new footage. I thought it was pretty cool. I also got to give a shout out quickly to the GIFs, memes, little clips they cut in of other Batman. Like they cut into Batman 66 of him kapowing Gordon and then running to the.
Yeah,
I
I've seen that one a few times. Yeah.
That was great. I just love that.
But other than that, I don't think we have much news or anything. Nothing has really come out. I mean, majority of everything that's going to be talked about today does spin out of the finale of Peacemaker.
We have just a few tidbits from Matt Reeves and Pattinson from interviews, but before we get into that and then feed into the Peacemaker, we'll take our first ad break of the evening. Listeners, we're an ad-supported network. We don't pick the ads or the volume. I'm going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay, like you said, not a lot of DC news besides Peacemaker dominating a lot of social media, a lot of HBO Max, and a lot of topics of conversation for the past few days. But besides that, we got a little bit of Batman stuff from the press junkets that I want to discuss with you. First and foremost, the Batman director Matt Reeves said in an interview with Collider when asked about Mr. Freeze potentially showing up in this Batman universe. In my view, I just feel drawn to finding the grounded version of everything. So to me, it would be a challenge in an interesting way to try to figure out how that could happen. Even the idea of something like Mr. Freeze, that's such a great story, right? I think there's actually a grounded version of that story which could be really powerful and could be really great. And my question to you is, do you think that Mr. Freeze and any other potential powered Batman villains like Poison Ivy or Clayface could show up in if we get a trilogy? I don't want to.
I think unfortunately not. It's the boring thing about all these takes on Batman is the fact that like, oh, we have to make sure Batman's real. You know, the comics that you read are based on true stories. You know, it's we got to make sure that everybody knows that this man is real. So he, with his $1 billion grappling gun and Batmobile and glider and nano suits, and it's so stupid. Yes, I'm sorry. Like, Batman is at his best when he's fighting supernatural giants, like fighting Man-Bat, fighting Bane, fighting Mr. Freeze. Like, I'm sorry, I need a comic book Batman. Like, I don't care about your grounded Mr. Freeze. Like, I just don't. S-Bubs, I can already see in the corner of my eye, you're saying something about Clayface. It's something that we need, but it's not something we're gonna get. It says right here, Clayface would be a guy wearing brown clothes, and then he would change costumes, dark brown, of course. It's too dark and gritty. No, he's 100% true. There would be some do you know what would it be? No. Do you know what it would be? It would, Clayface, realistically, would probably, a grounded Clayface would be somebody with multiple personalities.
I would say someone like very similar to Chameleon from Spectacular Spider-Man, just wearing different faces.
He would then need to then you have Hush. Why have Clayface when you have Hush?
Well,
that's what that is.
Obviously, that doesn't make sense either. And I'm with you, Clay. I really hate when people think that Batman, first of all, can't interact with the Justice League or have anything to do with them, as he can't be with superpowered people. That is an annoying thing that sometimes I've heard a Batman-centered whole network talk about in terms of Batman can't be around Justice League members, which is foolish for me. And the same thing here with I don't understand it. I'm dying to see Clayface, and I think I'm worried. I would love to see Matt Reeves take on Mr. Freeze before I would like to see him take on Clayface, because you can do that. You can kind of ground that a little bit, and if you really tell the Heart of Ice story, you can work with that and make that. They've already like quoted. Well, Pattinson has Mask of Phantasm as something that he's watched and took a little bit of inspiration from. So I don't know. I really want to see it. The only one, Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. I don't know. Do we consider Mr. Freeze superpowered? His suit makes him superpowered, right?
Well, I don't personally know the original origin for Mr. Freeze, but like the big thing is that he needs to be in very sub-zero cold temperatures. And there is no sickness on our realm of Earth that requires any human being to be able to breathe and survive in sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
And say, when we try to think about Clayface, it's hard for me to think about how Matt Reeves would ground a Clayface, and I get anything like I'd want to see at a Clayface. You know what I mean? Like the big anvils and the big. I don't know if we get any of that stuff.
the only things you could possibly kind of stretch is a Mad Hatter. You know,
Yeah.
Mad Hatter is, he has this
Card tech controlling.
yeah,
Well,
he
hitman.
mind control. Well, mind control isn't real, so what would you do? Oh, well, you can brainwash people through manipulation. And like people are like, Clay, how would you do that? Have you not seen like how many cults have been around the world since like the dawn of time? Like, go talk to Alice and Mac, you know?
Or hypnotist. There's another one. Hypnotist, because you actually see. I don't know how real it is, but you see it sometimes where people are like laughing and crying. Like they can make them do anything after just having them look at that. So you could go down that road.
And then you can go down the route of like somebody like a Hugo Strange, probably. Then you could realistically trying to Anarchy would be another one.
Let's keep naming. I'll accept Joker for Snell.
But even then, Joker. So there's this idea that Joker is actually a metahuman called, and his superpower is being super sane, and I think that is stupid. But SPUB says his freeze gun would be nanobots that make your muscles not move or something. It's I don't want to think about it too much because I know
Yeah.
we're not getting it. Like
Yeah,
that's the issue that I have.
I think that if any the close we'll get is Mr. Freeze. You might be able to do something with Poison Ivy, where the whole environmental disaster, like the world is at right now. You might be able to do something grounded with that. But even then, we're talking about grounded, but then you got to have used powers for me to consider. And when we talk about the Joker, I know like Snell loves the Joker Batman showdown, but I really hate the final fight between them every time because I know what's going to happen. Like Joker has zero training, Batman is like ninja times 20. Like,
But
what do we
he
think's
always
gonna
gets away. But he always gets away.
No, he always gets hauled to Arkham and then escapes.
Well, both have happened before.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I have because it's most likely that Reeves is going to choose the exact same villains that Nolan did. And then the next person who takes on Batman is like, oh, well, everybody likes the grounded take on Batman. So instead of doing Penguin and Catwoman first, I'm going to do Joker first. Oh, wait, no, 89 did that. Let's see. What if I do Joker for the last film, and then they do Two-Face for the first film, and then they do Penguin and Riddler for the second film? And it's going to be the exact same things over and over and over again. And it's just going to be boring.
I won't say that for this film because they're already inserting more villains than we've ever gotten for one Batman film, and they're juggling them and bringing them along. Some of them are getting their own shows, so I'm not going to say that about that yet. But you are right. That is a history of the past of getting the same villains. Even though Batman supposedly is supposed to have one of the biggest rogue or the best rogues gallery or the biggest with him and Spider-Man. But
I have
you're
yet to
using
see
the
it in
same-
live action.
That's what I mean. So there is, but we have yet to see what Reeves is doing either, Clay, of having Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler. That's just three. Carmine Falcone. There's multiple villains in this film that we've never seen this many in a Batman film at one time. Like two, I think, is the most we've ever gotten. Three, if you include Bane, that work with Poison Ivy and Batman and Robin. But that's very loose for me there. That
He was the most like Bane that we have ever seen in live action.
I'm trying to think of. Well, okay, well, I was like Tom Hardy, and then the Gotham
No,
Bane. The
yeah.
Gotham Bane was ridiculous. That was like, my God, I think that's when I gave up on the show. So, uh, anyway,
So you can make fun of him all you want, but he was the most like Bane from any reiteration of live action.
I
So
don't think he spoke a word. So, yeah, that's one thing that came out of there. Also, at a LA panel, Pattinson was asked about Robin in a sequel, and he said, "Yeah, but he has to be 13. I don't know why he's stuck on 13 age. That's the only way I'll accept it. No, I love Death in the Family and stuff, but I think it'd be so cool. And also, people are scared of it, but it's kind of exciting. It would, I think it would be a really fun addition. Do you think we can see Robin showing up in the next future films, or do you think this is going to be a Robin-free zone?"
I think it'll be Robin free, just because again, like we are getting the same things from right now. Although we're getting it all in one movie, yes, we are getting some of the same villains that we've always seen. Robin, we haven't seen in live action since Chris O'Donnell. And I just think that with, well, as Bob says, people just using the same villains over and over, it sounds like a real villain in society. No, but I just think that they have been right now, just because, Batman is hot. The Batman is hot right now. Both Reeves and Pattinson are yes men right now. They're like, oh yeah, that would be so cool. Yeah, that'd be so cool. Oh yeah, we really want to do that. Yeah, yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, that's all. That's the entire interview with
Well,
every single
Could you
question.
imagine? Would you like to do that? No, that's stupid. Why would you ask me that? That's so dumb. Did you even watch the movie?
Please give me more than just yes, 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 because that's boring too. Like, give me something that like, hey, I know exactly where you're gonna go. Like, I know not necessarily what to expect, but hey, I have faith that you're going to take this franchise into a good direction. Because right now, like I said, I'm already predicting the same villains that I've seen in live action before, and I'm not super excited about it. Like, I'm not excited for the villains. I could be excited for the movie, but like, oh yeah, it's gonna be another face off with Two Face. Cool. Another fight with Joker. Cool. Like,
Well, you're not getting that with this one. This one is a completely different lineup, really. Penguin is not the Penguin that we saw last, which is the waddling, exactly looking like a penguin. So, like, this is all different interpretations of
but it's the
characters.
same character.
Yeah, but they're completely different interpretations. Like the Riddler, you can't look at me and say the Riddler from this movie is anywhere in even in the same world as the Riddler Jim Carrey played. Like, it's not even the same. Like, nowhere
He's
near
the
close.
same character though.
No, but yeah, Clay, if you're given different interpretation, you're going to get a couple interpretations of the Riddler before you're going to get Condiment King show up. That's a fact.
No, but see, the problem that I have, even in comics, whenever somebody gets the title of Batman, the very first thing that they want to do, I want to show a grounded Batman too in comics. Oh, I want to get down to basics. And it's again, Joker, Riddler, Penguin, Two-Face.
Well, they
Like,
want to give their interpretations of those characters too.
and it's the same shit over and over again.
Well, then those are the comic people that you drop. But I still think, like, I'm giving Reeves. I don't think that this is going to be a new interpretation for live action.
Unless Riddler takes off that mask and I see like the Creeper, or I see Mr. Freeze himself pretending to be the Riddler. It's the same character.
Yeah, well, if that's the attitude, why watch anything like Spider-Man stuff? Why, if they go with the same villain, why watch No Way Home as the retread of old villains? Or I feel like that. I'd rather have Reeves tell the story like that. Like, he's putting it through the center of Riddler, and it's not like a.
But if you go back to every single Spider-Man movie, again, Marvel Alliance is gonna laugh at us for talking Marvel real quick, but
Marvel Alliance are bullies, so who cares?
just
Clay?
just with the Raimi film, you got Goblin, you got Doc Ock, you got Sandman, and you got Venom, and what was another one? That was it, right? And then with Andrew, you got Lizard, brand new.
Yeah.
Goblin, okay, Goblin is just one of those characters that you quote unquote need to have.
He's his Joker. He's his Joker.
Exactly. And then Electro, new character. Okay, go to the next, and technically Rhino at the very end. You go to the next one. Tom Holland was the very first villain. Oh, Vulture, brand new. Then we go to the second one, Mysterio, brand new. And then the third one, you're retreading characters from other movies.
You're saying that, but those two characters were supposed to be the main villains in the fourth Raimi film. So at a certain point, you're going to be doing the same interpretations of some.
But we never saw those. But we never saw those.
I'm just saying that at a certain point, you're going to be retreading instead of going to super obscure characters.
But again, Spider-Man, just like Batman, has such a large variety that you should be able to play around with that variety.
Yes,
and for some reason, people are too dumb to take off their blinders and see what they have in front of them.
No, that's not it at all.
That is definitely what it is.
This is what I think the Riddler is like. This is what I think the Two-Face is like. This is what I think Penguin's like. I want to give you my interpretation of the characters after being influenced on them from all these various things that I've seen. This is what I think the Penguin should be like.
But that is the problem.
Get that right. No, that's not a problem. That's your
yes,
right.
It is.
If you're a book, you get to give your interpretation. The whole book is this is what I think the characters are like. You said on the spot, like I love that you get this is what you want to do. You're getting to put out what you want to do. Matt Reeves went and said,
but
they're
they're not saying, hey, Radiant Black, go fight the Joker. Hey, Radiant Black, go fight Two-Face. Hey, Radiant Black, go fight these same characters that we have seen over and over and over. There is no Joker in these stories.
I think that you're being a little I think you're taking a little bit away from Matt Reeves. He should be allowed to pick whatever characters he wants. He is,
and he's able to do that. That's his choice. But I'm saying that choice is very boring.
I don't think it is at all, especially what he's doing with the Riddler is not I could see if you stuck an exact carbon copy of what we saw from Jim Carrey or what we saw from Heath Ledger or what we saw from if you would get carbon copies of what I'd like to take.
But the idea of having to do new takes on the exact same four characters over and over and over again means that we will never get Killer Croc. It means we will never get Mr. Freeze, which means we will never get Firefly. Thankfully, we're getting that in Batgirl. We will never get freaking what's his name? The puppet. Freaking Ventriloquist, yes. Like those
you can get those in your Batgirl, in Keaton going around that's in the DCU. That you're not going to see that in the Batman.
But that's what I'm saying. People, fans of Batman, are still wanting Batman to fight Batman villains. You know?
I just think that if you take on a film or you take on a comic or you take on a TV show and is a big character, you're going to want to give your interpretations of these famous villains. You're going to want to do it.
I know,
everyone does.
But why? But my problem is, why is it the first one out of the gate?
It's not. Why? He used Riddler. You could have used Two-Face. You could have used so many.
We've seen Riddler.
So you want him to use right at the gate, Mr. Freeze or we saw Mr. Freeze. That don't count. Clayface or
Ventriloquist.
Mad Hatter.
No, Mad Hatter, Ventriloquist. Freaking listeners? What's the first story of New 52 detective story?
Especially good luck walking into WB and getting that made. Good luck. Hey, we want to make a Batman film about Mad Hatter and Ventriloquist. Alice in Wonderland? That's what they would ask. They're the same people that saw Superman's ship blow up and then said, yeah, we can't, saw Krypton blow up and then said, we can't blow up Superman's ship. How will we get home? So pitching, if they know Joker and Two-Face and that, we're lucky. Because
I'm sorry that I'm sorry. Again, it all comes back to not only the WB people, but everyone in freaking existence apparently has the IQ of a fucking piece of shit because they can only be entertained by a stupid fucking clown. Like, that is so stupid.
I
There is
will
so
tell
much
you,
more. There is so much more to Batman.
I agree
Eh,
with you, Clay, and I'm not a fan, especially like I said at the final fight. I think it's stupid, but I know what's going to happen. Like I don't think ever Joker's going to get one up on Batman. You might get a comic like Elseworlds, what if type story,
and
but
and the thing is, like, everybody's like, oh, what if they do Court of Owls? They can't do Court of Owls. Why? Because they're zombies.
they
Like,
can. They can do. You don't have to do exactly like I said. You don't have to be like DCCW level adaptation where it's just the of name only. But you could do it where they could be more like League of Assassins, and instead of that, you don't have to like you could say they just keeps training them every 20, 30 years, like bring in new generations. You don't have to go like they're zombies. We can cut that out. I'm okay with that, even if you give me the like the main gist behind Court of Owls. And you can give me the talent. You don't need to give me the zombie part. I would love to see it, Clay. Not saying that. Like love to see it, and I think it would especially fit in the DCEU with a Batman that doesn't have like ratchet gadgets
but
and
again,
stuff.
like, there's this idea again. Oh, that stuff can only be in the DCEU. That, I think that is stupid.
I think that no, I don't think that it can only be there, but I think that the way that this Batman is positioned, especially in year two, I don't think that he has the devices or the like learn nearly enough to be able to tackle that this early in his.
But that would make it more interesting. That would make it more challenging. That would make me be like, oh
The whole
shit,
thing
what
is
is Batman
challenging
going to
anyway.
do?
The whole thing is challenging for him anyway. Even like one would say that maybe he might not survive if he encountered them earlier. So I understand what you're saying, Clay, and it is right, especially the part like we'll never see a Clayface with the way things go right now, unless it's in Batgirl or in some HBO Max series.
I know. And because of that, like, it's just so every single director, every single helm of Batman is losing out on the potential of great stories. Instead, they want to do these simple, boring, hey, they look pretty, but it's Penguin again. Oh,
Well,
hey, look, it's Riddler again.
that's the thing about like the DCU Batman back a couple years ago. Like I could see him fighting these characters and actually like winning and actually like getting hurt but still getting up kind of deal. Like honestly, I find it hard to believe to watch Christian Bale. Do you think he could go anywhere near toe to toe with a Clayface like that we see in comics? Because I think that he would need like to encounter him somehow
No,
get
because
away.
I
And
mean the
then,
fighting choreography in those movies are stupid. But Espub asked, "Do you think there will be a time skip in this trilogy to maybe get fighting those different villains?"
that's
I th-
possible.
I think that there will be small portions of time skipping between the first film and the second film, but I also think that the TV shows are going to fill in those gaps. So I don't think, like, maybe we will get like the origin of Penguin, from his TV show, but I do think that if the GCPD show gets more seasons, that I do think, oh, that's going to jump in between movie one and movie two. And then again, they'll throw in, because we've also gotten news that Reeves has actually had conversations about Catwoman getting either a series or a movie,
Yeah.
and on HBO Max, and maybe that could fill in something. Maybe play a little bit with her origin, throw something in between a movie or two. I do think there will be small slivers of time that do pass between each movie, but I do think because Reeves wants to build a universe, that he'll be able to fill in those gaps.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Clay. I think that we'll get stuff weaving this in, and honestly, after
Espub says Penguin goes in his back to tank and we see flashbacks.
oh,
Oh, God.
I honestly think that we'll talk about it now going forward in a little bit with our review. But after seeing what I saw at a certain point in the Peacemaker episode, I won't rule out seeing the Batman show up in any of Matt Reeves' shows for an appearance. I'm not saying episodes or anything like that, but I won't rule out seeing him
I
show up for an
I I
appearance.
have a theory on that as well. But it really all depends on what Reeves is wanting to do. But we'll talk more about that when we get there.
Yeah, we're I week from Wednesday for me. Obviously, a few days earlier for you. Week from Monday.
I got a week in one day.
Yeah, a week and one day. So so you're going on Tuesday of. Okay,
Yep.
so you'll see it one day before me. Okay, that's not too bad. I'll just throw away my phone for a day. That's no big deal.
I I am pretty sure because I'm pretty confident that my brother got the tickets, but I am pretty sure I am seeing it on the 1st, the 3rd, and then once more before our review on Friday.
I think I might be seeing it with Allison on Thursday evening, too, for my second viewing. She watched the trailer yesterday and was like, "Yeah, I'll go with you. This seems really interesting." So,
Nice.
I'm gonna see it a couple times before we talk about it. But we have another week left before we even get into that. But Clay, we have Peacemaker review, and we'll talk about our non-spoiler thoughts before we take our final ad break. The episode 8, it's Cow or Never. Clay, spoiler-free thoughts. What do you think about this episode?
I will be completely honest. I'll say the exact same thing that I told my co-host for Batman News Weekly. This was probably the lower part of my list as far as the episodes, if I had to rank them. It was not a snooze fest, but it definitely wasn't bombastic, exciting things. So that's really my take on this finale.
I loved it. I'm a little bit more in the positive range there. I really enjoyed a lot of this. Uh, there's a couple jokes that maybe went on a little tiny bit too long for my liking, maybe to open the episode or something. But as a whole, I think it's great. There is a scene that we'll talk about that, in my opinion, has overshadowed the finale and has been the majority of what people are talking about. So we'll talk about that. But as S-Bubs is saying there in the chat, which is something I fully agree with and want to point out, I thought the action, especially the final action piece there, was fantastic. I thought the choreography was great. And there's some fantastic things Peacemaker can do with his shield.
Yeah, I before we go into our last ad break, I just want to elaborate a little bit on what I had said. This episode was good, but it was not the greatest episode.
Yeah, you'd have it like a 7 or a 7.5 instead of like a 9 or a 10 or even
Yeah,
6.
I still think that probably episode 4 or 5, I can't remember which one of those, was better than this one for sure. But yeah, let's go ahead and shield kills are cool. Yes, we
On
will get
that
into
note,
that.
we'll take an ad break. Shield
Yes.
kills are cool. Listeners, this is our final ad break of the evening. We don't pick the ads or the volume. Going to give you a quick 3 count to adjust your volume, and we'll be right back in 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Okay, Clay, let's get into it. It's the Peacemaker season 1 finale. Actually, before we get into it, just a little programming note. Peacemaker season 2 has been officially renewed Peacemaker has been officially renewed for season 2. I think that I saw that is potentially going to be airing in 2023, and James Gunn has already said that he will write and direct all 8 episodes of season 2.
Wait, that it will premiere in 23 or it'll
2023. It'll show in 2023.
so it's already going to be he's already going to be working on it.
Yeah,
Like
well,
now.
he did Peacemaker after Suicide Squad in the pandemic and shot it and wrote it and did it all in Vancouver. So it wasn't like it's an 8 episode thing he did quite well.
Well, how far along are they in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Like in principle in filming.
Okay.
I thought pretty close, like maybe halfway, something like that. Brenton would know. I don't want to say
Okay.
exactly, but
Because, I mean, he was able to get Suicide Squad done pretty quickly.
I did read that he said that after Guardians, he's going into TV for a while. Like he's going to stay away
Yeah.
from movies.
SBub says James Gunn and Jennifer Holland got engaged. Yes, they did. They are
Yeah.
currently on vacation right now. They do deserve it. But yeah, I will say this. I said this to Snell in passing. Gunn is going to be a DC guy.
Yep.
I 100% think that he will build what he has with Peacemaker, what he has with the Suicide Squad, and if there is anything in the realm of that WB wants, I'm sure that, or at least what HBO Max wants, Gunn will give it to him for
Oh,
sure.
100%. What we see in this episode, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into the episode, Clay, because it's a doozy. We open with the crew going in the van towards the car, and I gotta say this is the first thing here where I think the joke went out a little too long. Abadiah's trying to apologize to Peacemaker, and they're just doing the fart noises like him and Vigilante, and that annoyed me after about 10 seconds.
There's some people who absolutely like love bathroom
Yeah.
humor. My co-host for Batman News Weekly, that is like one of his things, and I knew as soon as they started, I was like, "Oh, he's gonna love this," and he loved the opening. I mean, I felt that it was very weird in the sense of tone change compared to how the last episode ended. With the whole thing, like, oh, I just can't wait to like be done with this, so that way I never have to see any of you guys again. And then all of a sudden, just making the fart noises, tonally, it didn't really make sense. Especially if you were to like do the binge model and just watch all the way through, I feel like that shift would be very odd.
Yeah.
But from there, we get them in the woods, and they are unpacking. They're getting everything ready.
And we have the moment
Abadiah,
of foreshadowing.
yeah, Abadiah is on the. You just really want to talk about it, don't you?
No, I didn't even think about that when I was watching it because I never got spoiled. So when I watched the episode, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh look, what a cool little throwaway line.
Yeah, Abadiah is talking to her mother, of course, Amanda Waller, saying that they need backup. Is there any way that they can send anybody in? I think it was Peacemaker that yelled from across, the woods, like, "Hey, call in the Justice League or whatever." And they are told that backup won't get there in time, whatever, and so they just move forward. And so their plan is they're going to they set up the helmets of Peacemaker, and they're like, okay, what do all these do?
Love that scene.
Peacemaker goes through the rundown of everything. There's the joke with the anti-gravity, which Abadiah accidentally activates. It goes flying, and they're like, okay, well, all we have now is the sonic boom. So we're going to toss this right into the barn, blow the barn up. It's going to be great. How do we get it there? Oh, we're going to use Eagly. Eagly does not help whatsoever because he takes the helmet, goes all the way to the barn, and then veers off to the right and just drops it right into the woods. So everybody's pissed off.
That was
There's
probably, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the scene I laughed the hardest at the entire episode, especially because the way they built it with the big motivational music, like he's gonna succeed. John Cena being there, like as Peacemaker, being like, "Yeah, Eagle can do it." Everyone very excited, and then they're all mystified as he's going towards it. Like Abadiah's like, "This is miracles." It all really worked for me. I was basically crying when I was watching that.
I will be completely honest. I did not laugh in this entire episode.
I
there
laughed
was
hard at this part.
there was not really a joke in any. Well, there was one time that I laughed, and we will get there soon. But they're like, okay, well now we have to go find this helmet. Let's split up. We get Economos and Vigilante joking about freaking ants and fish in the sea and whatever. And then we see Chris is hallucinating with his father.
Yeah.
This was very interesting because this is going to be a lingering thing through now what we know of season 2.
For sure, because of how this whole thing ends. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that at the very end.
And he's like, "Oh, you're not done with me. You didn't kill me. What are you gonna do?" And that's when he gets the blow dart and shoots the tree. And that's when Hardcore's like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Like,
Well,
what's wrong
before
with you?"
that too, he goes for to get the blow dart, and his ghost dad, he calls him, essentially, or ghost, basically says like, "I tricked you," and Chris is like, "I didn't even reach for my gun. Like, I knew you were a ghost the whole time. That's why I reached for my blow dart." And I just thought, like, what a random conversation to have with the ghost, and then Harcourt walks off on seeing that. And like you said, she's like, "What the hell's going on, dude?"
And Chris is trying to like play it off, and like just ironically, is the tree that he shot was where the helmet was. They get the helmet. They make this new plan. Okay, well, we're going to get this, human that is, taken over by a butterfly. We're going to kill them, take his clothes, and have Economos go into the barn, set the helmet in, and kill the cow that way. And they get there, they get all the clothes on him, and he goes all the way in. We get the
Well, he was picked too because they saw Harcourt and Abidio a couple episodes ago. They've already encountered Peacemaker and Vigilante, so he's the only one, and he does not want to do it at all.
no, no, of course not. And he goes all the way through, and the old police officer, the detective, is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, I need to take this in there." "For what reason?" "Because." And he starts to, I thought they were going to figure him out, because at one point he starts to like jog in there. He freaks out, and that's when he starts to puke or whatever.
I did like how he was basically people are saying like, "How is this working?" And you're thinking like butterflies aren't that in like they're a little odd when they're acting too, so they would just think that he's a butterfly. So it kind of worked for me, his weirdness there. It actually worked for him in benefit, and you could see how.
Yeah, they're a little bit what's the term, one noted.
Yeah.
Their tone and
Monotone,
everything.
monotone,
Yeah,
monotone,
very
yeah.
monotone. But he goes downstairs and he sees the cow.
Kaiju.
Yeah, this is when he freaks out. He's like, not dealing with a kaiju again, not doing this again. Calling back to the actual Suicide Squad movie where he called Starro a kaiju, and he says it over the radio. He's like, "No, guys, fuck this. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this." And he starts to walk out. That's when somebody from from underneath was like, "Hey, that dude just left this here," and it was the helmet. And Abidio drops the walkie-talkie, but she's able to find it and calls to activate the sonic boom. This is where we get the giant explosion, and we know from prior scenes that the helmet has at least 3 or 4 charges.
Yes.
So Abidio does this about 3 or 4 times until finally it doesn't do anything, and that's when Peacemaker's like, "Oh, well, I guess that's done. Let's go kick some ass." And SBub says here, this is probably one of his favorite parts. It says that he laughed at. He said, "I laughed when the theme song started to play when they were going into battle." That was a laugh, but also a hype moment at the same time. One thing that I absolutely love about James Gunn is the fact that he is almost kind of like a oh shoot, I had the name, and then as soon as I started talking about him, his name freaking left. Baby Driver director. Shoot, something Wright. Edgar Wright? No, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Edgar Wright.
Okay, so they have songs interpreted into their scripts, written into their scripts in specific ways, and I know that James Gunn does this all on purpose. All of his music, everything, and having that point where he is putting the theme song into that moment where they're just going in guns blazing, I appreciated that. I thought that was very, very cool.
Loved it, Clay. Loved it.
And this is where we kind of see like the badass scenes of Harcourt, of Vigilante, of Peacemaker. We get that awesome scene where Peacemaker throws his shield and waits until it finally starts to go like at eye level. He shoots the shield and it goes right into one of the guys' head. All of that was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. Now, the one thing that I did not appreciate here, more so because of how in the know that we are because of this podcast, is Harcourt got shot up so many times. She got shot like 4 or 5 times. And Gunn at one point had said, "Oh, well, this is going to be a kind of tear jerky episode. I knew she wasn't going to die because I know she's in Black Adam."
Yeah, that's the problem with connected things and anything getting out. I don't think it's been officially. Actually, no.
No,
Aggie let it slip, saying
yeah,
that he was done with her.
yeah. In that one interview, just randomly, he was like, "Oh yeah, she has this part, but no, I don't know where my future is, going to be in these movies." Is basically what he said. But my one of the moments that I laughed at was when everybody's basically down and out. What I thought was really stupid was Abigail gets her guns and becomes John Wick. That was so dumb because I can understand having a moment of like adrenaline and just like going all out and like just shooting or whatever, but she legit looked like she had 17 years of fucking training under her belt. And just the other day, she didn't know that she had to shoot more than once for somebody.
That is why I will agree with you there. I would have loved this scene if all you had to do is not have Abigail hold the gun the entire time until up to this point. And then you'll see being like, okay, there's another reason why she's not doing this. Like her mother put her. You could just have a couple lines of like her mother put her through the ringer before of
Well,
training.
like,
You would
we.
believe that if you didn't see her going shooting dead bodies. You would believe that a little bit more if you didn't see her be a ridiculous fool about anything to do with weapons and artillery the entire time.
Well, and the big story before this was the fact that she was struggling with the idea of killing somebody.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what it's supposed to be. That she is now over that fear and is now a badass. You can make that a little bit more believable if she is just going out there and killing people. But the way she was doing it looked way too much like a professional. And it's just like, I don't like that.
The
But the
only way
one
that
but the one
works.
but the
Sorry.
one part that I did laugh at was when this happened. Economos is like, "What are you gonna do? You can't do anything." He tries to jump over this fucking fence and completely falls on his face. And he's like, "What's that? What's that pain?" And he looks down, and this motherfucker broke his leg so bad that his bone is outside of his body.
Yeah, there's a couple things on that. First of all, James Gunn, you shouldn't have went that extreme because, I mean, there's no way he's crawling all the way across the field to Abigail to give her a helmet. Impossible. Impossible. He's not walking out of there at the end of the episode either. Like, I don't
So-
care. You need two people to help him, not just one. Like, come on.
So, so
That's the first thing
As
I
fu-
thought when I saw him walking out. I was like, he's not walking out
Oh,
of there.
and he just like gives her the freaking helmet. No, but S-Bubs just brought up a very funny moment, but I will talk about that later. So she is now in possession of the human
torpedo.
rocket. Yeah,
Human
the
torpedo.
human torpedo helmet, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? So John Cena's character, of course, Peacemaker, was talking about how this is the worst invention ever because you would hit something so hard that every bone in your body would basically disintegrate.
Potentially. He said you have the potential to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when he is going underground with Goff and they're, trying to explain everything, Goff actually saves Peacemaker from the collapsed barn or whatever, or the cavern that has collapsed.
Yeah, well, he walked in after Goff and fell through. But
Exactly.
It was very Peter Griffin style. Like, how many times he was falling down through things. I was like, man, God, is this ever going to end?
Yeah, he fell for a while, but Goff saves him. And before they can really have any interaction, you hear Abigail say, "Activate human torpedo." And there's like this force field that goes all over her. and she goes right past them, right into a wall, and just flops down to the ground. And they look at her and they're like, well, that was fucking weird. And they just move on. So there's a moment above where Vigilante gets shot in the back. This had me worried. Vigilante has a lot of potential for the next few seasons if this show gets multiple other than just two. I think that there's a lot there for him and the whole best friend status. I think there's a lot there for him and his coldness when, killing people.
Sociopath.
Exactly. I think there's a lot of layers to Vigilante that we can explore in other seasons. So when he
Clay?
got shot in the back, he he was kind of surprised, and then he just fell to the floor, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
As he threw a knife back, killing the person that shot him, which was
Yes.
ultimately badass. I want to say, because you said that, as a great point about there is a lot of potential there with Vigilante. I really think after a couple of seasons of neglectful treatment from Peacemaker, I really think you could turn him villain against Peacemaker and have a really, really good personal villain hero showdown that could stretch out over a full season if you do it right. Like you said, there is a lot of potential, or you can keep him good. I'm not saying he has to go bad, but there is a lot of potential because he is a sociopath.
I don't think he would ever go against Peacemaker just because of how much he thinks that he is his best friend. But I do think that he is on the chopping block. Like, he has the potential to die because he is not the star of the show.
What do you think about the explanation from the butterflies? Because, like you said, Peacemaker is fighting Goff, and then Goff's like, "I don't want to fight," and tells him about the story. What do you think about Peacemaker? About the whole plan they have, the butterflies?
I had no expectations of this, but when they were explaining this, I was hoping for some sort of flashback or scene from their planet, and I was like, "The Reach, maybe." Gonna, show me Blue Beetles, Scarab, something. Didn't ultimately happen. In the same vein of how Zack Snyder gave James Wan the ability to show all of the origin of Aquaman, I think that they're doing the exact same thing for everybody involved with Blue Beetle. So I'm okay. I just kind of wanted it to happen just because I would get even more excited about that character and about that movie coming out in a year or two.
You could have it, like, especially it's coming out on HBO Max right now, right? Is that still
It did no, it got a theatrical release.
Okay, I was going to say if it was initially positioned to be on HBO Max, we'll say, you could do it so that it could be an Easter egg type thing where the butterflies are lesser beings to the Reach. You know what I mean? Like they're floating around. You see them,
and
egg.
that's what I was really expecting. But they didn't show anything. That was fine. And they gave them the ultimatum, or basically gave Chris, told him, we wanted to, just use Earth as a place for us to live, but we noticed that the human race was on the same trajectory as our people. And so we know better than you. We're going to take you over so that way you can survive. And, I'm sorry, that is the wrong way to go. Goff, you deserve to die. So what does Peacemaker do? He shoots the creepy old freaking sheriff.
But he shoots, before he does that, he says, "Human torpedo, activate."
And Abigail, still freaking disoriented. She is wobbling all over the place. She can't even stand up straight. Immediately gets the force field and shoots right into the cow. Now, my problem with this is, and this is my problem with every single alien movie there is to know. Now, this has happened in other movies, but why it doesn't happen in more is just very confusing to me. Alien biology. We know nothing about alien biology. How do we not know that this freaking blood or guts or organs are not going to just burn through Abigail? Like, because
don't.
it's one of those tropes. I think it was like with the movie Aliens, their blood freaking just disintegrates
Well, it was
human
like make a
bodies.
spit out acid kind of deal.
Exactly. So like in my mind, like I am pretty sure if the show would have gone that way, like Peacemaker and Vigilante would have had that conversation. Like, oh, do you think it spits acid? Or like, oh, do you think its blood is acid? Like, I am 100% sure that's how things would go down. But instead, he just shoots Abidato straight through the freaking chest of it. I don't think Peacemaker would consider that.
That's what I was thinking. I don't think he would even think about that. Maybe after they would have discussed it, or Vigilante would be like, "Did you think that his blood could burn somebody or anything? Did you even think about Abadiah's safety?"
It's just something that I thought of immediately when she shot through the freaking cow, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
I was thinking more disgusting, Clay, when she fell out. I was like, of all that just gross, disgusting blood guts, whatever we're calling it, that 90% of that's landing in her mouth. Like, could that kill you in the long run or give you
Exactly.
radiation?
This is an alien.
We're going too deep. We're going too deep into alien biology here on DCA.
We don't know anything about this alien, and so it's just always weird to me that like everybody's just like, oh, that was gross, let me spit it out. It's like, no, I'm worried for my freaking life now. Am I poisoned? Like, what's going on? That's where my head goes.
Glad
So
Superman didn't do that. It was Peacemaker.
so after all of that, Goff is dead, quote unquote.
I will
Wait,
say,
wait.
I want to say one thing about that. He didn't. I will say, Peacemaker came a long way because he didn't even kill Goff. He could have waited and shot the butterfly, but he let Goff. He didn't want to kill anything anymore that
Yeah.
was living because he said earlier in the show that he didn't have an issue with killing butterflies because they were just stupid aliens that were taking over people. And by the end of the show, he won't even kill Goff. So that's
Yeah.
kind of. I love that growth from him.
So they all get him and Abadiah go out of the barn or the underground, and then all of a sudden you just see Vigilante. Hey guys. This is what S-Bubs was saying in the chat. He says, I also left when Vigilante came back randomly after like 10 minutes when I thought he was dead. This was hilarious. So the Economos and then this scene in particular, I laughed so hard at. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And then again, it kind of gets ruined by like this heartfelt like, oh, Harcourt might die. And I'm just like, guys, she's fine. She's in the other movie. You're good. Pick her up and let's go.
Yeah. General audience wise.
Yes. But at this moment is where the fucking internet just fucking imploded. So stupid. But he picks up Harcourt. They start to walk off into the distance, and you start to hear a whoosh, a electricity, a big thud, and all you hear is Peacemaker say, hey, you're late, dumbass, or whatever he says, and the camera pans over, and you see the silhouettes of the Justice League -2. And I was like, oh shit, that's pretty cool.
I was like, oh, damn.
Like, all the silhouettes. And then he gets really close to Aquaman. And this silhouette looked a lot like Jason Momoa, and I was like,
they all look like their DCU counterparts to some extent.
no.
To some extent, you can see it behind the scenes. You
a
can see it behind the scenes. that
Yes,
they all
yes,
wore the
but
costumes.
a silhouette is still a silhouette. You know,
Yeah.
whatever. But when they got super close to Aquaman, I was like, that looks a lot like Jason Momoa. That's fucking weird. And then when the camera moved and you saw fucking Aquaman, Jason Momoa, I was like, oh fuck, that's actually him. That's actually really, really cool. And then we, have the whole joke about the rumor of him fucking fish, and Barry, kind of just like was making fun of him. And they had
not a joke.
they had a bro moment, which I really enjoyed. And then, of course, the episode ends with the whole Abadiah outing Task Force Z, Amanda Waller, all of that. Not Task Force Z.
I was gonna say,
Sorry,
somebody's been up too long tonight.
that is actually a comic involving zombies. Task Force X is the actual team, and then we get to see Harcourt and Peacemaker at the hospital, Economos, back at Blackgate with his little picture with everybody. We see Vigilante working as a busboy again. Like we get
Blowing
the
stuff up with Peacemaker.
yeah, we see them at the firing range again, and then we see the very end with Chris at his house. He goes outside. Eagly flies off in the distance. The reason why he goes outside is we get the knock at the window and we see Goff. And so Peacemaker uses the very last of what's in his jar to feed him. And he sits down and his dad is right there at the very end. And that is how we end the episode.
Well, he's kind of laughing too in the background as when Eagly drops the thing. He's laughing, but they cut out his volume so you can't hear him laughing because he's not actually there. It's fantastic. Because obviously Clay, Peacemaker is going to have to deal with this going through the second season. Like we're going to see a lot more of his father in his head. So I'm really interested to see how they're going to go with that.
Yeah. S-Pub says, I thought it was a full CG Jason Momoa. It was the outline looked great of that silhouette. I was like, holy shit. But let's go back to this.
Well, you could see the colors too before you even saw his face. You could see the colors very prominently for the Aquaman costume. Like in the silhouette, you could see the colors.
You could kind of see it shine. Yeah.
Yeah, like sorry, not even the colors. The orange wrist thing, gloves.
Yeah.
I guess the thing that comes off the gloves. You could see that. That wasn't hid in the silhouette when you first saw him too.
Yeah. But let's go back to this whole thing because this has everybody's freaking panties in a wad. So, we have Superman, we have Aquaman, we have Flash, and we have Wonder Woman, but we only see Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller as the Flash. So everybody's like, well, why couldn't we have Henry Cavill? Why can't we have Gal Gadot? Where is Batman? Where is Cyborg? Blah, 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 blah. More stuff has come out about this. Hines messaged me. He's like, "Oh my god, this," and I love the enthusiasm from Hines. And Hines, I love you. I only say this because I love you. We were talking about the episode a little bit after everything had kind of started to blow up on Twitter and everything. And I don't know how did you word it? You were like, "Well, what did you think about the cameo?" I said, "Oh, I think it was really cool." And you said, "Oh, I think that this definitely means that we have a chance at Cavill." Right? Is that how we? Let me actually bring it up.
This doesn't kill it, or this gives it a little chance, in my opinion. That was before I saw that he was actually wearing the suit from Justice League 2017.
Yeah. So it was actually a conversation between both Travises. I think we actually created a group chat between us, and we were talking about it. And I had said that I think that this just means that like he's done. Like
I don't think so at all because of the Wonder Woman being there too, and the fact that both Batman and Cyborg came out.
But what does Wonder Woman
as well?
But
no,
what
I'm
does
just saying she's a current she's a current actor that's playing this character, and that silhouette is her. The stunt double looked a lot like her, and they were using she's in the DCU currently. Like she's not being replaced or anything.
But I also think this is the first time that they have offshooted Gal Gadot. This is the second time for Henry Cavill. And I'm sorry. Fool me once, shame on me. What is it? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
I can't agree with you when the only two people that showed up in the actual cameo, the actual actors, were the ones that are filming their two movies currently. That's what they were actually filming movies when they done the cameos, and they weren't even on set. They weren't on set.
So you're saying that because Cavill was available, he shouldn't have done his cameo?
He probably wasn't asked. I don't know what the details is, Clay, at all. I have no
But that's
idea.
what I'm saying.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
If you have one appearance left on your goddamn contract, you're not going to come out to HBO Max Peacemaker to do it and then be fully absolved. Like they might have to pay you. They might have to pay you out before they go to a new Superman. But no, let me go to do a 20-second. No, come on.
Again, do we know that it is his final one? Do we know that they
I'm
have
pretty sure
not?
That's the same thing that came out with Shazam. I can't quote me 100% being factual here. But
we
that
don't know.
was a rumor coming out when people were saying that he wasn't going to
Rumor.
go to Shazam. He said that, like, I think he said he wasn't going to show up for Smile Parrot or something. I don't know. I have no idea. All I said was gave me a little bit of hope, and you were like, no, sorry. Yeah, but he's not coming back. Like I said, let's give it a year, and let me see. When I see a new Superman, I'll be like, okay, cool, new Superman. Until then, I'm not going to say there's no chance he can be Superman.
But again,
especially after what I just watched, with No Way Home, I'm not going to rule out anything ever happening again. So I'm not saying that
that's completely different studio.
No, I'm just saying that the fact that you saw actors come back, Clay. Jeez, I'm not saying comparing. I'm just saying the fact that we saw actors that did these roles 10, 15 years ago come back. I'm not going to rule out the fact that there is a chance that he could come back. If they didn't include Superman, like I said, they didn't include Batman because we're getting a replacement for the DCU, because what Clay leaves off when he's talking about this is Batman
we weren't there
Cyborg.
yet.
Batman and Cyborg also filmed in there, and they were cut out. So if you were going to completely avoid Henry Cavill or replace Henry Cavill, wouldn't you cut that out? Wouldn't you completely avoid Superman because you did take out Batman and you did take out Cyborg because you want to avoid the shitstorm there? But you bring this fellow in who's wearing the Justice League 2017 Superman costume, and you put him in and show it. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that it's. I'm not going to say Henry Cavill's coming back or 100% Henry Cavill or 80% or anything like that. I'm just saying this gives me, instead of completely snuffing out my hope, this still keeps it a little alive.
It means that there is a Superman. Doesn't mean there's Henry.
Oh, I didn't say that. Like I said, I could never say. I wouldn't put. I'm a gambler. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't put any money on Henry Cavill coming back as Superman. I wouldn't. But from every decision WB's made, I can't say, yeah, he's not coming back because I don't understand
He'll come back.
Logic.
He'll come back for Kevin Feige's Avengers versus Justice League 2027.
S-Bubs, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. But I just don't think that, like I said, if you wanted to completely avoid the shitstorm, if you were recasting him or something, wouldn't you leave him out like they did with Batman? Or if you wanted to avoid it just for people complaining.
But they've already recasted Keaton. He's right there.
Yeah, but wouldn't you, why not, why would you take out Batman then if he's already going to be recast? You might confuse the audience or... there's a couple reasons. I'm just saying, Clay, you could have, if you wanted to avoid Superman discussion entirely, you could have left him out. Because him and Wonder Woman doesn't add anything except the fact of, look at the Justice League members. They don't do anything. It's the Flash and Aquaman that is with the scene. But if you wanted to avoid anything with it, you would just leave them out like they did with Cyborg, for example. Instead of having quote tweets and...
No, because it would not be...
My God, you can't even have a little flicker of hope. And this man who, Travis Snell says, I'm living in a dream world, when he's the one that was going to fly to Seattle to go watch the Batman one day before it come out in Canada. What are we doing here, people? I'm just saying that until I see him recast it, there's no way that you can tell me anything other than I don't know who Superman is or who he's going to be.
Oh my God!
It's just if you really want to start calling people out, we'll start calling people out. I'm living in dream worlds here because I say I got a little tiny bit of hope is equivalent to flying to Seattle to watch a movie one day earlier. What are we doing here?
But here's the thing: if you just have Aquaman and the Flash, and not have Wonder Woman, and not have Batman, and not have Cyborg, and not have Superman, that's not the Justice League. It's Aquaman and Flash.
It still is. They're members of the Justice League, but I know what you say. You need You need at least a 50% membership for to be considered Justice League. I agree with you there. You can't show 3 out of 7. So you need to show 4. Yeah.
If you have an end credit with Iron Man, people aren't going to say, "Oh man, the Avengers showed up at the end of that movie." No, they're going to say Iron Man showed up. Same thing here. If just Aquaman and the Flash showed up, they're going to be like, "Oh man, Aquaman and the Flash were in the Peacemaker movie." But because there was 4 members of the Justice League, people are going to say the Justice League showed up in Peacemaker. So you need more characters in there. Snell, oh man, I wonder.
It's the way I gotta go. Anyway.
No. What did he say? What was he saying there? I need this back. Hines or Snell,
come on.
send that to me because
Can we keep on with this now? Because I'm just.
I am just saying.
You have said 4 times that you don't think
I
it's going
have
to happen,
said
and I'm okay with that. And I don't, like I said,
I don't think it's going to happen.
I wouldn't put any money on Henry Cavill coming back. That's what I'm saying. It's like, sorry, I had a little tiny bit of hope. That's all. Sorry, won't make that mistake again when it comes to DC. Sorry, Mr. Snell, won't make that mistake when it comes to DC. Henry Cavill's out. We're gonna get 2 or 3 different Superman replacements.
I'm not trying to kill your buzz.
I wouldn't even have him buzz. I just said it just doesn't 100% rule him out. That's basically what I was saying, and it got turned into me running around saying Man of Steel 2 is happening. According to Snell, like I'm living in a dream world thinking Man of Steel 2 is happening. No,
is that what he said?
Well, no, that's not what he said. He said, I don't even know what he said. I didn't really read it. But
you didn't even read it. You blocked.
Anyway, I just want to say that I just thought that it gives a little tiny bit of. I would put someone else in if I was going to do Superman. I would have made it look completely different. I would have put in an old school Superman suit, like the Smallville actually. But I would have done the Smallville CGI suit.
But why would that make sense for these characters?
I don't know what makes sense for Superman with these characters. Because I don't know what Superman's going to be doing. Like I know what
these characters have been seen together, looking the way that they did back in 2017. So they're going to choose the likeness of those characters in 2017. That is a given. Well, now, for me, I said this in our chat with you and Snell that if it was me directing all of this, because it was news to us and it wasn't an interview, that James Gunn wrote this in his script, gave it to WB and HBO Max, and they're like, okay, cool. And then when it came time to actually plan this out, they're like, oh shit, hold on a second. We didn't read the fine print. What the fuck are you trying to do? And then that went from hey, we're going to be talking to the lowest level of executives to the very tip top of executives. I mean, for me, I would have fought for a Batman cameo.
Oh, 100%. And what one you going to put in there?
Which one?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Either one.
Can't put Keaton in though. You can't.
I don't care if you put both.
You can't take away
Keaton.
The reveal.
Put the Lego Batman. I don't care. Put a Batman in there. The reason why
you can't take away the reveal from the Flash of Keaton and the Batman.
Sure you can.
Clay, don't give
Sure you can. Now, do you know why? Do you know why I would fight? And yes, I understand that the Aquaman fucking fish was like from the very first episode. But you bring in a Batman cameo for that one conversation with the neighbor in episode 4 would be totally worth it.
Especially if you could somehow tie the old man into it. Like if you could tie Batman, the old man, and Peacemaker all into that scene. That would have been
live action Will Arnett in a bat suit.
Ooh, I don't mind that either. That's not a bad idea.
He would not look great in it. I'll tell you that.
No,
but look, I'm just saying. If I was Gunn, I would have fought for a Batman appearance, like just so there could be a play on that joke, because I think that joke for me personally hits a lot harder than the fucking fish joke.
Oh yeah, same. I think like that got old to me too, but I did enjoy. Like I said, I couldn't believe that it was awesome to see Aquaman say "fuck" too. That was hilarious to me. It was almost as hilarious as all those Snyder cultists flipping out about him saying that and cursing. But no, Joker can say I give people reach rounds every day of the week, and that's okay. That's cinema. But this is what grow up, please. Like I absolutely love the show, and I know that some people didn't even watch it because of that, and it's hilarious to me, Clay. It's so hilarious.
It's very odd. I mean, because these people don't understand the hypocrisy that they're going through. The fact that they're trying to fight for creative freedoms and all of that, and then once somebody actually gets gets to be free in their creativity, they whine about it, and I think that is just dumb. But I think that's all really we got for Peacemaker, and I think technically if I'm looking at the show notes correctly. Do we really have anything else to go
Gotta
through?
say, we gotta talk about one scene that we did miss, which was Economos talking about his beard and the cut the Peacemaker. Like that scene was that scene got me, Clay. That scene was, I was like, oh damn, I wasn't expecting Economos to deliver one of the more heartfelt scenes, emotional scenes at the end of this, because we were getting into the zany part there, and they completely went out of that for about 2 minutes to hear why he dyes his beard and how shitty he used to feel whenever Peacemaker would make fun of it. And
Yeah.
to see the look on John Cena's face, I just want to give him some props for just acting without saying any words. He was devastated hearing that. Like he had devastation on his face that those.
Yeah,
just
it
him
was
making
a
fun that
it was a
really
good scene,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was just one more scene that we needed to like. And I understand that, like, especially in, I think it was episode 5 was the one where they destroyed the facility for the food or whatever for these butterflies. But like that was a scene where they really got close. I think it needed to come back full circle to really lay it into Peacemaker. Like, hey, sometimes you're a piece of shit, and this is the reason why. So I really enjoyed that scene. But yeah, I that is everything that we got for that. Trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, I think, didn't we talk about James Gunn getting another?
Yeah.
We already
Another
talked about that last
series.
week. Yeah, yeah. So that is it for
I
the
will say the
show.
one thing that the execs did announce that they will not say anything. They'll let James Gunn announce it whenever he wants. I did read that today.
Oh,
Actually.
really?
Yeah, that they're going to let him like announce it.
Nice.
We'll let him know when he's cooking up something. So I'm excited. We're getting season 2 of Peacemaker. I'm hoping that he just stays in the HBO Max TV universe, Clay, and picks off some more Suicide Squad members to tell some stories about the ones that survived. Anyway, maybe the four. Maybe he does a series on every one of the 4 that escaped after Starro. That'd be pretty cool. If I'm just saying that because I really want a King Shark series. I want to see more
I
King Shark.
don't know if a King Shark can
I don't know.
hold
Yeah,
his
I
own
agree.
series.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know if that character can do 8, but I even show me him in Aquaman or something. I want to see him come back.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I really loved him in Suicide Squad. I'd love to see him show up even in Peacemaker or something. Like that'd be pretty crazy. Hell, they put King Shark on the Flash, and that's a dumpster fire right now. So you can definitely just
I
a
mean,
turning shot with the Flash.
Granted, they put him on the Flash before it was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, and he looked really good. I was shocked when I saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's
again,
back.
he's back. Okay.
He
So
said, I can actually, I'll read it because I can actually fly to Seattle. Cavill will try to fly as Superman and end up in Buzz in Toy Story 1. I didn't even read the fact. All I read was I can actually fly to Seattle, and then I stopped. But I wanted to say, like, the Captain GIF from, I can't remember the movie now, but I'm the Captain now. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay,
Put
yeah.
Snell in the mute. I was like, I'm the Captain now.
All right, guys.
That's about it. I'm really excited for Peacemaker season 2, and
I'm looking
wonder-
forward. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't see how Harcourt and Peacemaker can work as a couple because that's what they were positioning us towards, right? He didn't leave the hospital until she woke up, and they had the holding hands, and he had a tear. I assume they're positioning them to be a relationship. Is that what you got from there, or am I just thinking they're friends, or what?
I think that this just shows that Peacemaker is not the complete douchey asshole that he was made out to be. And, that was the whole conversation between them 2 episodes ago. Like, oh, you're not such a douchebag after all.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a part of that. The whole thing beforehand was, him trying to get in her pants or whatever. Will it lead to that? Who knows? But I am excited for a season 2 of Peacemaker. This show was very surprising to me. I was in the camp of not very excited for this. I was not somebody who asked for this show. I was just somebody who wasn't really looking forward to it. By the 3rd episode, it did surprise me. I was loving it by episode 5, and I enjoyed the finale. So I am down for another season. I'm down for a new series from James Gunn. I'm looking forward to what he has in this corner of the DCEU and what we can see in the future. But
Same.
you can find me at Fanboy Clay. In the bio of that Twitter account, you can find the links to all the shows that I host, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course Star Wars Alliance.
And you can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the podcast network. We are doing a special episode, recording a special episode Friday, so look for that next week. Thanks for listening, listeners, and we'll see you next week.